what do Baroque orchestras and Brazilian samba have in common? So I love it. I am Susana Frade. I am a classical guitarist from Cuba. I recently got my DMA in guitar performance at FSU. And I shared yesterday a video teaching on my Instagram account. And in the video, I'm talking about dynamics with the student. And it got me thinking that Baroque music has so much in common with Brazilian popular music. So my student was playing a Brazilian piece arranged for guitar, and I was talking about the dynamics, and I was saying it's not about playing louder, it's about how the layers of sound grow together. So let's explore how. I just wanted to share a couple of things. I'm reading my notes here that I took to share with you. And in Baroque music, dynamics shift suddenly. There are not such a thing as crescendos, these more romantic dynamics. So it's more about loud and soft without gradual transitions, right? And it wasn't really about individual musicians doing dynamics or playing louder, but more about one instrument soloist and then a group of players, and of course it sounded louder because there were more instruments, and as more instruments joined, the louder the sound would get. It was more about instrumentation and layers, adding more layers to the music, other louder dynamics, right? For example, a solo harpsichord starts softly, then the strings come together or the woodwinds, and that increases the volume. Or they have the tutti where all the instruments play together, so it sounds louder. So Baroque composers used to control dynamics by writing for larger or smaller group of instruments, not by writing in the score. So when we play solo pieces, in this case for guitar, that are a reflection of an orchestral composition or a larger instrumentation composition, we should be able to reflect this while we play. And then I was teaching a Brazilian piece, and I realized that actually that is more or less what happens there too. Sometimes you have this, when you start with the instrument, for example, you start like a solo guitar with cavaquinho, and then you add the bass or the 7-string guitar, and then the percussion. So that naturally increases the energy. But it usually is about a group sound. When you hear a samba with all the groove, it's usually a large group of musicians and a large group of instruments playing together. So there is a dynamic fluidity. So they have crescendos and diminuendos that create tension, but it's about this texture, right? Where you have sometimes the instrument that is doing the solo, and then it's creating a conversation between the solo and the band that is accompanying the solo. And it's about the layers that you add to that texture. So that brings me to another thing. So we have dynamics, but dynamics respond to the texture. We have, for example, in Baroque music, the polyphonic texture where multiple voices are intertwining is not a single melody with accompaniment. In popular Brazilian music, we have this rhythmic interplay with instruments like the cavaquinho and the percussive instruments that create a dynamic push and pull. So that's what's making the music alive. And they have this call and response where, for example, brass and percussion respond dynamically, creating this conversation between the solo instruments and the accompaniment instruments. Again, the texture is what helps to create the dynamics in the music. And then I thought it was a good comparison between the two. What guitarists can learn from this? Because I'm a guitarist, so for example, in Baroque music, focus on clear articulation and dynamic contrasts. Whereas in short or samba or Latin American rhythms and musics, The key is to breathe with the rhythm and interact dynamically with other musicians if you're playing in an ensemble. But if you're playing a solo music, is understanding what the different layers would represent in an orchestra. If this is bass, if this is the melody, if this is the accompaniment, and have a clear idea on how that would work in an orchestral setting, right? In both styles, the key is listening and responding. Whether following a figured bass or a pandero groove, it's about the call and response and listening to what's happening. In Baroque pieces, think about register, because as it gets higher, it gets louder, and about texture, how many voices are playing, not just volume. So it's texture and register also that come to play when we think about dynamics. And if a piece gets louder, it's often because more voices are entering. So it's not necessarily about just what we do with the dynamics in a single melody. In short or samba, pay attention to how layers develop and let the groove breathe. And so whether playing Bach or Pichinguinha, shaping dynamics is about understanding when to lead or blend with the ensemble. Hope you like this. Have you ever noticed this layering effect in the music? What do you think about this? Let me know. Bye.